Sometimes love shows up when you're not even looking for it. Sometimes it lands half frozen at your door during the biggest snowstorm in 20 years. Bo Callahan lived alone in the Montana mountains for 15 winters, and he was okay with that. No one to let down, no one to miss. Then he found Rosalind Hart passed out in the snow by his cabin. She was running from something back east, something that made her eyes scared and her voice shaky. When he carried her inside, Bo had no clue that saving her would flip his whole world upside down. The folks in town called him wild, a guy too, rough to tame. Why would a fancy lady hide out with someone like him? Before we dive back in, tell us where you're listening from. And if this story grabs you, hit that subscribe button because I've got something super cool saved for tomorrow. The storm that brought Rosalind Hart to Bo's door had been building for 3 days, and he felt it coming in his bones before the snow even started. That's what happens when you live alone in Montana for 15 years. You notice things city people don't, like the ache in his left shoulder from a bear attack 6 winters ago, or how his old dog Rex got jumpy and whined, or the weird quiet in the pine trees before the storm hit hard. Bo got ready like he always did, calm and careful from surviving tons of storms. He stacked firewood up to the cabin's roof, stored enough dried meat and beans for a month, filled oil for the lamps, and checked his bullets. He learned long ago that the mountains don't care if you're not ready, and while he was fine, with dying alone up there someday, he wasn't dumb enough to mess up and die early. His cabin showed off his years of hard work, thick logs sealed tight against the wind, a stone fireplace that warmed every corner, windows set to catch the morning sun and keep an eye on the valley. It wasn't fancy by city standards, but it was his, built with his own hands from trees he cut down. At night, when the work was done and the fire burned low, he sometimes wrote in his old leather journal, not mushy stuff, but notes about the weather, animals, or which plants grew where. People who met him, like the traders who bought his furs. In spring or lost travelers he helped, thought he was just a rough mountain guy with no smarts. They saw his big beard, plain clothes, and quiet ways, and figured he couldn't read. They didn't know he used to be Jacob Bogard Callahan, a college guy from a rich Virginia family, who once wore fancy suits and charmed proper ladies in fancy rooms that smelled like flowers and money. But that life felt like someone else's, now faded like the old family photo he kept wrapped in cloth in his army trunk. Up here, he was just Bo, a guy who could read the sky, hunt, and make it through another winter. He traded with the Blackfoot in summer, speaking their language better than most white folks bothered to learn. He knew every trail, every clear, stream, every cave to hide in when storms got bad. The morning he found her, he was checking traps before the storm got worse. Rex had been acting weird all week, sticking close to the cabin and whining at nothing. Dogs feel stuff people miss, and Rex had been his buddy for 8 years, ever since Bo found him starving next to his dead mom. If Rex was spooked, Bo listened. Snow started after midnight, big flakes that meant a long storm. By morning, it was so thick he could barely see the woodshed from the cabin. He put on his warmest coat, wrapped a scarf around his face, and went to check the nearest traps before he couldn't see at all. Rex stayed close, whimpering at the wind. That's when Bo saw something dark by his door. At first, he thought it was a hurt animal, maybe a deer stuck in the storm. But as he pushed through knee-deep snow, his heart stopped. It was a woman in city clothes, collapsed by his door, like she'd used all her strength to get there. She was out cold when he knelt beside her. Her lips were blue from cold, her breathing so faint he had to lean close to hear it. Ice stuck to her dark hair, and her hands were freezing under thin gloves that were useless up here. How long had she been out there? How did she find his cabin in this storm? He didn't stop to wonder, just scooped her up. She felt so light, her head flopping against his shoulder, and even through the cold he could tell she was pretty. Not mountain tough, but city fancy, like she belonged in a ballroom. Not here. What was she doing in these mountains? Inside, he laid her on his bed and got to work like he'd done for frostbite before. Her fancy boots came off first, soaked and freezing. Her feet were pale but okay. She'd keep her toes if he worked fast. Her dress was wet and forget manners. He had to get it off to save her from freezing to death. He looked away as much as he could, wrapped her in warm blankets, and built up the fire until the cabin was toasty. Then he warmed water to slowly heat her hands and feet, careful not to hurt her more. She made a soft sound as feeling came back, and it hit Bo in a way he hadn't felt in years. For 3 days, she was in and out of sleep while the storm roared outside. He gave her warm broth when she could sip it, checked her hands and feet for damage, and changed blankets when she got sweaty from fever. In her sleep, she mumbled words he couldn't catch, sometimes yelling names that sounded scared. Marcus, father. And once, in a voice that broke his heart, she whispered, "Please, don't!" Over and over until he stroked her hair and whispered she was okay, like calming a scared kid. When her fever broke on day 4, she opened her eyes and looked at him with bright green eyes he'd never forget. They didn't talk for a bit. She looked around at the rough cabin walls, the bare rug under the bed, the smell of pine and smoke. Then back at him. "You saved my life," she said, her voice soft but fancy, like she came from money. "Storm would have got you if I didn't," he said, suddenly aware of his scruffy look and rough voice after days of quiet. She tried to sit up, winced, and touched her head. "How long have I been here?" 4 days. Storm's calming, but there's still lots of snow. Her eyes got wide, maybe scared. 4 days? I have to. She tried to get up, but he gently pushed her back. "You need rest. Whatever you're running from can't follow you in this weather." Her look of relief and thanks almost knocked him over. When was the last time someone looked at him like that? When was the last time he felt needed? "I'm Rosalind," she said quietly. "Rosalind Hart. Bo Callahan, Miss Hart." She looked at him, waiting. "You're safe here. Whatever chased you up this mountain, whatever scares you, it can't get you here." Her face softened, and he saw tears she held back. "Thank you, Mr. Callahan. I don't know how I'll ever pay you back." He stood and went to the stove, not used to her gratitude making him feel important. "Rest," he said roughly. "We'll talk when you're stronger." But as he made food, he felt her watching him, and he moved more carefully, noticing his hands slicing bread, his voice when he spoke. She was already changing things, just by being there, making him see himself differently. Outside, the wind slowed, but inside the cabin, something new was starting to grow. By the end of her first week, Rosalind was strong enough to help with chores, though Bo could see it tired her out. She moved carefully, still healing, but your shoulders told him to stay put. "Whatever you're running from, it can't follow you through this snow, and it sure can't survive up here without knowing the land like I do." Fear flashed across her face, maybe hope too. "You think I'm in that much danger?" "I think a woman doesn't climb this high into nowhere unless something worse than freezing alone is after her." The words hung in the cold air. Rosalind pulled his coat tighter, looking lost for a moment, and Bo wanted to hug her but went back to chopping wood instead. "The storm wrecked the main trail," he said, not looking at her. "It won't be clear for weeks, maybe not till spring. You're stuck here, like it or not." When he looked up, he expected her to be upset, but she looked almost relieved. That afternoon, he went to grab her stuff from where he'd stored it to dry, wanting to give her a private spot for it. Her bag was soaked when he found her, so he'd emptied it to save her things from mold. There were practical items: underwear, a fancy silver brush and mirror, a purse with more cash than most folks here see in a year. But at the bottom, wrapped in torn tissue paper, he found something that stopped him cold: a ruined wedding dress. The silk was once white, now dirty and slashed, like someone attacked it in a rage. The front was ripped, buttons missing, one sleeve barely hanging on, and dark stains, maybe blood, marked the skirt. He stared at it, piecing together her scared mumbles, her flinches when he moved too fast, the panic when she realized how much time had passed. "Oh, God!" He turned to see Rosalind in the doorway, her face pale as snow, staring at the dress with pain that hit him like a kick. "Rosalind, you weren't supposed to see this." Her voice was a whisper. "I should have thrown it away, burned it, but I couldn't." The dress fell from his hands. In 3 steps, he crossed the room and pulled her into a hug. She sank against him, sobbing hard, her small body shaking. He stroked her hair, murmuring soft words like calming a hurt animal. "Tell me," he said, when her crying slowed. "Tell me what happened." She pulled back just enough to look at him, eyes red, but steady. "His name's Marcus Thornfield. We were supposed to get married, a deal our families made. I thought it's what I wanted. He was good-looking, rich, everything a girl's supposed to want." Her voice went flat, making Beau's jaw tighten. But as the wedding got closer, he showed who he really was. Little mean things at first, telling me I'd need to learn my place, that wives should stay quiet. When I suggested waiting, she touched her throat. He made it clear I had no choice. The dress, our wedding was supposed to be a week ago. When I said I couldn't do it, her voice broke. He said if I acted like that, he'd treat me like that. He tore my dress, hit me. If his mom hadn't come looking, I think he would have. Pure anger surged through Beau, clean as mountain water. His fists clenched, but he kept his voice calm. "How'd you get away?" "I waited till he was drunk, partying with his buddies, grabbed what money I could and ran. Been traveling 2 weeks, sticking to back roads, paying for rides with whatever I had. Heard there were mountains out west where you could disappear." She gave a bitter laugh. "Thought I could vanish like some storybook girl. Instead, I almost froze on your doorstep. Instead, you found me." She looked up, eyes full of trust and thanks, and something shifted in Beau's chest. "You saved me from more than the cold, Beau. You gave me my life back." He gently cupped her face, wiping her tears. "Rosalind, a guy like that with his money and connections won't just let you go. He'll send people." "I know." Her hand covered his on her cheek. "That's why I can't stay and put you in danger." "No way." His words came out sharp. "You think I'd let you walk back into that storm? You think I'd let some city guy's hired men drag you back to someone who'd hurt you? You don't get what you're up against. I get plenty. I get that Marcus Thornfield's about to learn what happens when you mess with what's mine." The words hung heavy, full of meaning neither was ready to say out loud. Rosalind's eyes widened, searching his face. "Yours," she whispered. Instead of talking, he leaned down and kissed her. It was meant to be gentle, a promise to protect her, but it sparked something more. She melted into him with a soft sound, half surprise, half relief, and he kissed her deeper, pouring 15 years of loneliness into it. When they pulled apart, both were out of breath. Her hands gripped his shirt, her eyes making his heart race. "Stay," he said simply. "Stay. Till spring, till it's safe. Stay, and let me keep you safe." And after spring? That question hung over them. Could a fancy Eastern lady live with a mountain man? Could he ask her to give up her old world for someone who forgot how to live with people? But holding her. Now those questions felt less important than the fact she was here, safe, and he wasn't alone for the first time in 15 years. "We'll figure it out," he said, sealing it with another kiss. That kiss changed everything and nothing, for days. They were careful around each other, avoiding little touches, aware of the small cabin. But living together made things easier, warmer, more natural. Rosalind jumped into learning mountain life. She took over cooking, and though her first tries were messy, she got better fast. She watched Beau's routines, how he kept the fire going. All night, read the sky for weather, stored food for winter. "Show me," she kept saying. "Show me how to chop kindling without losing a finger. Show me which plants help a stomach ache and which are poison. Show me how to read tracks in the snow to know what's out there at night." Beau saw his world new through her eyes. Things he never thought about, like morning light on icy windows, the quiet sounds of the mountains, the pride of a job done right, felt special again because she noticed them. She learned fast, worked hard, though her hands blistered and her back hurt from tasks he found easy. He caught himself watching her, liking her stubborn jaw when she tackled something tough, the way she pushed hair from her face when focused. "You're staring," she said one afternoon, struggling to keep the fire going without smoking them out. "Sorry," he said, not looking away. "You're just not what I expected." "What did you expect?" He thought about it, watching, firelight on her face. "Someone who'd break easy, I guess. Someone who'd cry all day for her old life." She added a log, and this time it caught right. "Would you think less of me if I said I do cry for it?" At night when you're asleep, thinking about all I've lost. Her honesty hit him hard. No, he said softly. I think you're human. They worked quietly after that, until she asked, what about you? Do you cry for your old life? It was a fair question. I did at first. For 2 years I kept looking down the mountain, expecting someone to come get me, but no one did, and I realized that's what I wanted. She nodded, like she got it, though her running was different from his choosing to hide. That evening, as she made dinner, he watched her hands, once soft, now moving with confidence as she cut pork and stirred beans. Rosalind, I made you something. She looked up as he grabbed a bundle from his workbench. He'd carved it at night while she slept, shaping maple wood he'd saved for something special. Now, he felt silly handing it over. It was a comb, smooth and shiny, with a handle carved with leaves and vines. It took 3 nights to get right, and he worried it was too plain for someone who once had silver brushes. Rosalind took it, hands, shaking, looking at every detail. Oh, Beau, it's beautiful. Just a comb, nothing special. It's not just a comb. Her eyes shone with tears. It's the kindest gift I've ever gotten. Before he could argue, she hugged him tight, her tears soaking his shirt. Hey, he said, stroking her hair. What's this about? Marcus gave me jewelry, she said, muffled. Fancy stuff to show off his money, not because it meant anything, but this. She held the comb. You made it with your hands, thinking of me. You saw I needed something for my hair and took time to make it beautiful. She was right, though he hadn't thought of it like that. He'd noticed her struggling with her hair, braiding it with fingers, or tying it with cloth scraps. The comb was practical, but he'd added the designs to make it nice for her. Try it, he said, eager to see it work. She went to the mirror by the wash basin and ran the comb through her hair. It slid smoothly, untangling waves without pulling. Soon her hair was neat and pretty, fitting both her old fancy self and this simple place. It's perfect, she said, meeting his eyes in the mirror. Thank you. That night, eating dinner by the fire, Beau felt something click in his chest. Not just having someone around, but having a partner. Someone who valued the little things that made life more than just getting by. Beau, Rosalind said thoughtfully, setting down her coffee. Yeah? When I was a kid, I dreamed of a simple life, waking up to just the day's work. No social rules, just caring for my home and someone I love. She looked around the cabin at the rough walls, plain furniture, and simple beauty. I thought, it was a kid's dream. Now I think it's what I was meant for. Her words hung there, full of possibilities they weren't ready to say out loud. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, reminding them of the harsh world outside their warm little bubble where something special was growing. 2 weeks later, Rosalind's curiosity got the better of her. She'd watched Beau write in his journal each night, his rough hands gentle on the pages. One morning, when he left to check traps, she couldn't resist the book by his chair. She knew it was wrong. Private writing is personal, but his care with it made her want to know his thoughts. The first page took her breath away. In neat, educated handwriting, it wasn't just notes, but beautiful words that could fit in any fancy city room. The light this morning was so pretty, coming through the pines and turning plain ice into colorful sparkles. Words don't do it justice. They're too simple for the wonder of being alone in nature. She flipped pages, finding entries that showed a thoughtful man who wrote about seasons like a scientist and a poet. He wrote about talks with Blackfoot traders, showing respect for their ways. But an entry from last week made her gasp and sit in his chair. She gets better every day, though she doesn't know I watch for signs she's still weak from her ordeal. Her stubborn chin when she tries new tasks shows the strength that got her to my door. I wonder what she thinks of this rough life, if her fancy side hates our simple days. It's weird how fast you get used to someone else around. The cabin feels alive now, like her being here woke it up. Find anything good? She spun to see Beau in the doorway, arms crossed, more amused than mad. Her face got hot. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. I was just curious. She waved at the journal. You write so well. Surprised you, huh? He poured coffee, not upset. Most folks think a mountain guy can't even write his name. That's what I thought, she admitted, closing the journal carefully. I figured you just wrote practical stuff, like animals or supplies. I do that too. But up here with just your thoughts most days, you either find meaning in little things or go crazy from the quiet. She looked at him, seeing him differently. You weren't always a mountain man. It wasn't a question, and he didn't take it as one. Nope, I was Jacob Bogard Callahan once. Virginia planter's son, college at William and Mary, supposed to take over the family business, marry well, have kids. What happened? He was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then he pulled out a small, tarnished photo in a cracked silver frame. It showed a younger Beau, clean-shaven in fancy clothes, behind a pretty woman in a fancy chair, holding a baby about 6 months old. A boy, maybe 3, stood beside her, all smiling, love clear even in the stiff photo. My wife, Catherine, Beau said quietly. My sons, Thomas and baby James. Rosalind looked up, understanding his pain. Cholera hit Richmond in summer 1858. Catherine and the baby died days apart. Thomas lasted a week. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed old hurt. I buried them, sat through the sorries and food from folks, tried to keep running the plantation like nothing changed, but everything did. I'd wake up expecting Catherine's humming or Thomas talking about school. I'd set the table for 4, buy candy for boys who'd never eat it. He took the photo back, staring at it. After 6 months, I knew I'd either drink myself dead or worse, so I sold everything, bought supplies, and came west. And you've been alone since. 15 years this spring. It was good, honest, work, clean air, no ghosts in old rooms. He looked at her, his eyes making her heart skip, till you showed up and reminded me what it's like to care about someone else's comfort more than mine. His words felt heavy. Rosalind's heart raced as she saw him watching her. Beau, I'm not asking for anything, he said fast. I know what I am, what this life is. I'm not dumb enough to think a woman like you would stay here forever. But while you're here, I want you to know it matters. You matter. Instead of talking, she stood and crossed to him. The photo was still in his hands, and she covered them with hers, looking at his lost family. They were beautiful, she said softly. You were happy, a different happy than I thought I'd ever feel again until... He stopped, but she heard what he didn't say. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb soft on her skin. Until I imagined waking up next to you every day for the rest of my life. Their kiss was deeper, surer, full of the risk they were taking. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Rosalind saw her own feelings in his eyes. I don't know what happens in spring, she whispered against his lips. I don't know if I'm tough enough for this life or if you'd be happy with someone who brings trouble. I don't know either, he admitted, but I'd rather face those questions with you than anything else alone. That night they sat on his small sofa, her head on his shoulder as he read poetry from a Walt Whitman book, perfect for a guy who found meaning in everyday things. Outside, the wind howled, snow fell, but inside something fragile and special was growing. Rosalind H., I'm glad you read my journal, he said. She looked up, surprised. You are? Save me from finding the guts to tell you all that myself. His arm tightened around her. Next time, just ask. I've got no secrets from you. His trust wrapped her like a warm blanket. For the first time since running, she saw a future beyond escape. Here, with this surprising gentleman, she was learning what it meant to feel at home. Spring's first signs weren't warmth, but changes in light and animals. Snow was still deep, but wetter, hinting at a thaw. Ravens called differently, and Rex roamed farther, sniffing new smells on warmer winds. Won't be long, Beau said one morning from the cabin steps. A month, maybe 6 weeks, and the trail will clear. Rosalind, hanging laundry, froze. They'd lived in a bubble, focused on daily life and growing closeness. The future felt far off, but spring brought questions they weren't ready for. Trail to where? She asked, knowing the answer. Town, civilization, the world beyond. He stood beside her, solid and calming, even as his words stirred worry. Time to think about what's next. She smoothed a shirt carefully. What do you think comes next? That's not just my call, he said gently. They'd grown close, sharing secrets and kisses, but kept boundaries, separate beds, not naming the spark between them. "Bo, I need to tell you something," she said, turning to him. "About my old life, what I'm really running from." His face got serious. "Okay. Marcus Thornfield isn't just rich. His family has ties all over, business deals with rough men who don't care how they settle scores. When I ran, I didn't just embarrass him. I cost him a big dowry and a business deal he needed." Bo processed it, seeing the danger. "How big?" $50,000 in a railroad contract that'd make him a big shot. Her voice dropped. "He won't let that go. Men like him don't lose easy. Men like him don't leave their cozy offices," Bo said, but worry crept into his eyes. "You think he'd send men this far? He'd send them anywhere to get his property back. His property." Bo's voice was flat, dangerous. "That's how he sees me. How men like him see women, as things to own." She grabbed his hand, kneading him. "I won't let him hurt you because of me." "Stop!" His grip tightened. "We've had this talk. You're not going anywhere. But if Rosalind," his hand cupped her face, making her look at him. "Do you trust me?" "Of course." "Then trust me to keep you safe. Trust I can handle this. No city guy and his goons are taking you from me." His sure voice should have calmed her, but fear lingered. "You don't know what kind of men—" "I know exactly what kind." His face hardened, showing a side she hadn't seen. "You think I just trapped and traded up here? You think the Blackfoot taught me their language because I'm nice?" She saw a sharpness in him, a readiness for trouble. "What aren't you telling me?" "Same thing you kept quiet about Thornfield's ties, I guess." He held her hand and led her inside to his army trunk. He'd pulled clothes from it before, but now he dug deeper, pulling out a gun belt, a sleek rifle, and a small wooden box that clinked. "My dad's rifle," he said, pointing to the one he usually carried. "This one's mine." The rifle and revolver looked well used, cared for. He opened the box, showing bullets and an old badge. U.S. Marshal, Western District. "You were a lawman?" 3 years after Virginia. Figured if I was miserable, might as well do some good." He turned the badge over. "Chased men hiding in the wilderness, men like Thornfield might send." It sank in slowly. "That's why you're so sure you can handle this." "I've handled worse," he said, eyes intense. "And because you're worth fighting for." His words were a promise. He put the weapons back but kept the rifle out. "Time you learn to shoot this just in case." "I don't know if I can. Not asking you to kill, but you should know how to protect yourself. Plus, it's handy up here for game or predators." A mountain woman. The words thrilled her, like he was offering a new self she didn't know she wanted. They spent the afternoon shooting, his hands guiding hers, his body close as he showed her how to aim. "Breathe in, let half out. Squeeze the trigger, don't. Pull," he said, his breath warm on her neck. When she hit a pine target, the rifle's crack echoed, and pride surged through her, bigger than any praise for her old fancy skills. "Good shot," Bo said, his voice warming her more than city. Compliments ever did. "It's tough," she said. "Most good things are." He stayed close, looking at her. "You're stronger than you know, stronger than he let you think." Their kiss felt natural, born of trust and the closeness of the lesson, but also something deeper, knowing they were partners choosing to face the future together. When they pulled apart, both breathless, she saw his restraint, not pushing for more than she could give. "Rosalind," he said, her name a question and a promise. "I know," she whispered, understanding. "I want that too. But I need to know you see me, not some perfect lady, not a replacement for your past, not someone to save, just me." His hands framed her face gently. "I see a woman who walked into a blizzard to keep her spirit free. I see someone who learned to chop wood, build fires, shoot straight because it kept her alive. I see you, Rosalind Hart, just as you are." That night, eating by the fire, the air between them shifted. They weren't just hiding together, waiting for spring. They were building something to last. "What if they come?" she asked, getting ready for bed. Bo checked the locks and shutters, more careful since learning about Thornfield's reach. "They'll find out what happens when you threaten my family." Family? The word warmed her, hinting at a future she hadn't dared dream of. Here, With this complex man, she was learning what it meant to truly belong. Outside, the wind carried hints of a thaw, but inside, something lasting was growing. 3 weeks later, Rosalind started writing letters she'd never send. It began as a way to sort her thoughts during long evenings while Beau fixed things. She found paper and ink among his supplies and wrote to her sister Margaret in Boston, trying to explain her new life. "Dearest Margaret, I know you think I'm dead or crazy for disappearing, but I hope you'll see I had to choose between fading in a fancy cage or taking a chance on real freedom. I found love and myself in the strangest place." She never finished the letters. How could she explain Beau to someone stuck in polite society? How could she describe the joy of useful work, peaceful evenings, the way her heart raced when he looked at her? Writing helped her see how much her old self, worried about gloves and social calls, had vanished. This new self, strong and in love, felt truer. "What are you always writing?" Beau asked one evening, fixing a snowshoe. "Letters to my family, but I won't send them." "Why not?" She set down her pen. "What would I say? I fell for a mountain man? I'm happier chopping wood and cooking than I was planning parties? You could tell them you're alive and safe. They probably think I'm dead. It's kinder to let them than explain what I've chosen." He looked up, his gaze intense. "What have you chosen, Rosalind?" Her heart sped up. "You. This life, this place, you, all of it." The snowshoe dropped as he stared. "You sure? Spring's coming, the pass will clear. You could go anywhere, start fresh." She crossed to him, took his face in her hands. "I don't want anywhere else. I want this. I want you. Even knowing what it means. Cut off from everything, no society, no rules but ours, no pretending, no acting, no value from how I look on someone's arm." Her thumbs traced his cheeks. "Beau, I'm exactly where I belong." Their kiss was deep, urgent, full of choice. When they parted, something in his eyes had softened, a wall gone she hadn't noticed before. "There's something else I should have said. Weeks ago," he said, voice rough. "What?" "I love you." The words burst out, leaving him breathless. "I love your courage, your stubbornness, how you tackle every challenge like it's personal. I love how you make this place a home, not just a shelter." She kissed him, pouring her feelings into it. "I love you too," she whispered. "Since you carried me in and I saw kindness in your eyes, not cruelty. That night changed them. Not physically. They kept separate beds, though closer now, but emotionally. The last walls fell, leaving them open, committed to a shared future. The next morning, visitors came. Beau was chopping wood when Rex barked sharply at strangers. Through the window, Rosalind saw 3 riders on the snowy trail, their fancy clothes and steady pace chilling her blood. "Beau," she called, voice steady. "We've got company." He was beside her in seconds, his calm easing her fear. "Your friends?" "I don't think so." "Then they're not welcome." He checked his rifle and revolver. "Stay, away from windows. There's a loaded rifle behind the bed." "What are you doing?" "Talking to them, seeing what they want and how nice they'll be." He paused at the door, his look soft but fierce. "Rosalind, know I meant every word last night." Outside, with Rex beside him, Beau stood in the yard, rifle ready but casual, looking in control. The riders stopped at the clearing's edge. Their leader, in a fancy coat, called out, polite but threatening. "Morning, friend. We're looking for someone. Maybe you can help." "Depends who and why," Beau said, voice clear in the cold. "Young lady, Rosalind Hart, about 25, dark hair, pretty. Her family's worried." Rosalind heard the lie in his voice. Beau played dumb perfectly. "Haven't seen her. Don't get many ladies up here." "Strange," the man said, threat clearer. "We tracked her here, and there's nowhere else she could have gone. Maybe she turned back. Easy to get lost out here." A long pause. Then the leader's voice hardened. "We know she's here, and we're not leaving without her." Beau shifted slightly, grip tightening. "Guess we've got a problem." Everything exploded. 3 shots rang out. 2 from the riders, 1 from Beau. When the smoke cleared, one man lay dead in the snow, the others fleeing down the mountain, leaving their friend behind. Beau stood steady, rifle up, but blood seeped through his sleeve. and Rosalind's heart stopped. "Bo!" She ran to him before he could say stay inside. "I'm fine," he said, pale. "Just a graze." He checked the dead man's pockets while Rosalind pressed her apron to his arm. "What are you looking for?" "Answers." He pulled out a leather folder, his face hardening as he read. "Well, hell." He handed her the folder. "Your Mr. Thornfield's been busy." Inside was a wanted poster, fancy, with her picture, and lies. Wanted, Rosalind Margaret Hart, theft of $75,000. Assault, robbery, dangerous. $5,000 reward, dead or alive. "Bo, it's all lies." "I know." His voice was grim as he showed her a letter with official seals, naming Thornfield, a special marshal with power to chase her across borders. "He bought a badge to hunt you legally." The next paper was worse. A report on Bo, his real name, Marshall past, even a sketch of his cabin. How'd they know this? Money talks. Bo gathered the papers, shoving them into his coat. "We need to get inside. Those two will bring more." Inside, he checked his old Marshall gear, moving fast despite his bleeding arm. "Let me fix that," she said. "Later. We need to know how long till they're back with an army." He spread the papers on the table, studying them like a battle plan. "This changes everything, Rosalind. He's made it official. Even if we stop his men, more will come. The law's on his side. But it's lies." "Doesn't matter. The warrant says you're a criminal." His eyes mixed love and worry. "We can't fight the law when he's writing it." The truth hit her like a heavy blanket. "What do we do?" He stared at the papers, then spoke carefully. "We disappear." "What?" "Stage your death. Avalanche, a fall, something leaving no body but enough proof you're gone." The idea was wild. Could that work? It's worked before. I've helped others start over with new names when their past got too dangerous. His eyes showed the cost. But we'd leave here forever. No going back, no contacting old lives. We'd be new people. Where? California, Oregon, somewhere far where no one looks. We'd homestead under new names, start fresh. She saw what he was giving up, his cabin, his mountain, his life. "Bo, I can't ask." "You're not asking. I'm choosing." He knelt, taking her hands. "I'd rather run forever with you than fight a war I can't win and lose. You. What about your life here? 15 years surviving, not living. You showed me the difference. This cabin, this mountain, nothing without you." Rex barked sharply. More strangers. Through the shutters, they heard more horses. "Decision time," Bo said, grabbing his rifle. "Fight here or run forever." Rosalind looked at the cabin, her first real home at Bo, who'd saved her in every way. "How do we fake my death?" His smile was fierce. "Leave that to me. First, we survive the next few hours." The riders' noise grew louder. Their quiet winter was over. Whatever came next would test their love, their promises, their sacrifices. But as Bo checked his guns and Rosalind took her rifle, she felt not fear, but strength. They'd found each other against all odds, built something precious. They'd defend it or carry it wherever they ran. Outside, men shouted threats. Inside, two people who trusted each other completely prepared to face the future together. 6 riders returned, staying back, using trees for cover. Their leader, not Marcus, but a tough-looking man, called out, "Callahan, we know you've got the woman. This doesn't need to end bad." Bo stood at the front window, rifle ready, while Rosalind watched the back. His arm was bandaged, but blood soaked through. "What's your offer?" Bo shouted, stalling. "Hand over Rosalind Hart, and you walk. Thornfield's generous to those who play nice. If I don't, we burn you out and take her. Your choice." Bo glanced at Rosalind, calculating. 6 armed men spread out smartly, bad odds even with his skills. "Need an hour to think," Bo yelled. 30 minutes, then we shoot." Bo moved fast, grabbing supplies. "They won't wait 30 minutes, he said quietly. "Just making us think we've got time." "What's the plan?" "Make them think you're dead, then we escape before they catch on." He grabbed his marshal badge and a pouch of coins. "There's a back trail to a canyon 2 miles north. I can trigger an avalanche to block it for weeks." "You can do that?" "There's a loose overhang, a little dynamite, and it'll come down." He lifted a floorboard by the fireplace, revealing dynamite and supplies. His plan was risky, but smart. Stage a fight where she falls through the creek's ice, then slip away to a meeting spot while he convinces them she drowned. What about you? I play the sad lover, help them search the creek. When they're sure you're gone, they'll leave me be. I wait a day or two, then meet you. It needed perfect timing and luck, if anything went wrong. He knelt by his trunk, pulling out a simple gold ring with a small, sparkling stone. My mom's, he said, nervous. Not the proposal you dreamed of, but I can't let you die not knowing I want you as my wife. Tears came, and she didn't know when they started. Yes, you foolish, wonderful man. Yes. He slid the ring on, fitting perfectly, like it was meant for her. I wish we had a real ceremony, he said, kissing her hand. We'll have time later, she said, cupping his face. I love you, Jacob Callahan. I love you, Mrs. Callahan. Men moved outside. Time to go, Bo said, shouldering his pack, checking guns. Know the plan? Run to the creek, make noise, fall through the ice, stay under, slip, downstream to the big boulder, hide till you come. And if I don't? You will. You promised. And you never break promises. He kissed her, hard and desperate. They broke apart, eyes steady. Ready? Ready! Bo kicked open the door, firing to cover her while yelling curses. The men shot back, bullets splintering the frame. In the chaos, Rosalind ran out the back, making noise to be seen. Behind. Her, Bo shouted. You killed her! You bastards! More shots, wood breaking, men yelling. She reached the creek as a man rounded the cabin, rifle up. There she is! Her scream for Bo was real, her fear real as she stepped onto the thin ice. It cracked loudly, spiderwebbing out. Don't shoot! Thornfield wants her alive! But the ice broke with a sharp snap, and she plunged into the freezing water, her scream half real. The cold shocked her, stealing her breath, but she'd swum as a kid and stayed calm, letting the current carry her while holding her breath. Above, men shouted, cursed, ran along the bank. Someone called for ropes, but she was already 100 yards downstream, pulling out behind the boulder. Bo. Picked, soaked, freezing, but alive. Now she had to wait and trust Bo would find her. The trick lasted 27 minutes. Shivering behind the boulder, she heard the search party, Bo's voice among them, acting the heartbroken lover, suggesting places her body might be. Then the voices sharpened, suspicious. Someone noticed something off. A new voice. Cultured, cold, furious, cut through. Marcus Thornfield. You lying bastard, he said. Think I'd fall for this weak act? Bo played confused. What? She fell through the ice. We saw it. I saw a convenient accident when my men had you trapped. Thornfield's voice neared, heading her way. James, what did you find? Tracks, sir. Fresh. Someone climbed out here. Her heart stopped. Her wet boots left clear marks in the snow. They'd find her soon. Fan out, Thornfield ordered. She's close. Bring Callahan. I want him to see what happens to liars. Rosalind pressed against the boulder, mind racing. Running meant being tracked. Circling back meant getting trapped. A hand covered her mouth, and she almost screamed before smelling wood smoke and pine. Bo. Shh. It's me, he whispered. He'd slipped away, but his grim face said, things were bad. How many? 8 now. Thornfield brought more. His arm held her, tense and ready. He's not buying the drowning. What now? Before he could answer, Thornfield's voice sliced through. Rosalind, darling, I know you're there. Come out and we'll talk like civilized folks. His fake kindness brought back his control, his traps. But she wasn't that scared girl anymore. Go to hell, Marcus, she yelled, hearing curses from all sides. Such language, dear. These mountains have ruined you. His voice closed in. Callahan, your little shows cost you any mercy. When I find you, you'll wish you'd taken my offer. Bo's grip on his rifle tightened, calculating odds against 8 men in tough terrain. Listen, he whispered. There's a trail to the ridge, 50 yards north. If you can get there unseen, I'm not leaving you. Rosalind, no. Together or not at all. I won't live wondering if you died because I was too scared to stand with you. It's not about courage. It's about you. Living. What's living if I lose what makes it worth it? She grabbed his coat. You'd fight for me. I'd die for you. Pride and fear mixed in his eyes. Then he nodded. Okay, we stand here. Best spot we've got. Boulders cover, creek limits their angles. He checked sightlines, set up positions. If we're doing this, we do it right. Men's noises grew closer. Bo. Yeah, I love you. Whatever happens. He kissed her, quick and fierce. I love you, Mrs. Callahan, and I'll make sure you get used to that name. A muzzle flash lit the trees, a bullet ricocheting off stone. The fight for their life began, no mercy given or asked. The gunfight lasted 17 minutes. Feeling like hours, Rosalind crouched behind the boulder, rifle kicking with each shot. Bo was right. The creek and boulder helped, but 8 against 2 was brutal. Marcus was ruthless, his men pinning them with fire while others flanked through the pines. Left! Side! Bo called. Rosalind swung her rifle, her shot missing but scattering a man. How many bullets you got? 6. I've got 4. He fired twice, and a cry came from the woods. That helps a bit, but they knew they couldn't last. Ammo was low, and the men would close in soon. Then Marcus messed up. Enough! He shouted. Cease fire, now! The forest went. Quiet. Just the creek and her heartbeat. Rosalind, this is done. Marcus stepped out, hands up, but a pistol bulged under his coat. He looked as she remembered. Handsome, cold, cruel-eyed, expecting obedience. I'm unreasonable. She kept her rifle on his chest. You lied, made me a criminal, bought a badge, brought an army, and I'm unreasonable. You stole 75,000 and railroad contracts from me, he said. You thought there'd be no consequences? I didn't steal. I refused to marry a man who tried to force me. Marcus's face darkened. Dramatic words. I was taking what was mine. Bo went still, dangerously calm. You know what's funny, Thornfield? A guy who buys a badge to feel big needs 8 goons to scare one woman. He shifted for a shot. Makes you wonder what else he's missing. You're in no place to insult me, Marcus said. In 2 minutes, you're dead, and Rosalind's coming with me to face consequences. Assumes we don't kill you first. Marcus laughed. With what? You're out of bullets, trapped. Then Rosalind saw Bo, palm dynamite, and a match. Nodding at the snowy ledge above. She got it. The avalanche meant to block escape would hit the attackers. It could kill them all, but it was their only shot. Marcus, she called, steadying her voice as Bo readied the charge. You're right. This is over. Finally, sense. Surrender, and I might go easy on your man. I'm not surrendering. She aimed at his heart. The shot wasn't hers. Bo lit and threw the dynamite, landing it on the snowy ledge. The explosion roared, the mountainside crashing down in snow, ice, and trees. Marcus's scream cut off as the avalanche buried him and his men, leaving only chaos. Rosalind and Bo pressed against the boulder as it swept past, the noise deafening. When it stopped, silence hit hard. They were alone. The forest was gone, buried under snow. Are they dead? Bo said flatly. All of them. No one survives that. She felt empty, not relieved or guilty. It's over, she said, testing the words. It's over. He held her, his hands shaking. He can't hurt you now. No one can. But even in his arms, she saw the destruction. Their cabin, their winter, their love, all buried like Marcus. They were alive, together, free, but homeless, with a long, dangerous road ahead. In the wreckage, holding each other, they knew one story had ended, and another was starting. 6 months later, Sarah Callahan stood on the porch of a half-built cabin, watching her husband guide oxen through their first wheat field in Oregon. The hills were green, the sky huge and blue. The name Sarah felt right. The old fancy lady was a story, not her. Sarah, Bo called, and she waved, noting he looked healthier, happier. Their fertile land had a view of snowy peaks, reminding them of where they met. Their cabin, small but loved, was theirs, in a way the mountain one wasn't. Neighbors, the Andersons, were kind, helping build walls and teaching Sarah frontier skills. They bought the Callahans' simple story, a couple from back east, starting over. No one pried, and they shared little. They were just the Callahans, building from scratch. Their papers, marriage certificate, land claims, fake letters, were perfect, thanks to Beau's old Marshall contacts. But the real change was Sarah's. Growing belly, their child due in autumn. "How you feeling?" Beau asked, climbing the porch, sweaty but concerned. "Good. Tired, but good." She hugged him, smelling sweat and sun. "Emma says it's normal now." His hand rested on her belly, feeling their baby move. "Strong, kid," he said. "Like his mom. Or her mom," she teased. "Thought about names? If it's a boy, Thomas, for your son." He froze, and she worried she'd gone too far. "You'd do that?" "I'd be honored." He was part of you, the man who saved me. "I want our kids to know the love that shaped you." His eyes shone. "And if it's a girl, Catherine Sarah, your wife and my new name. A bridge between past and present." He cried a little, smiling wide, pulling her close. "I love you, Sarah Callahan." "I love you, Beau Callahan." That evening on their porch, watching the sunset, Sarah thought of their journey. The old pain, the violence. Marcus buried under snow. It felt like justice, not revenge. News reports called it a mining accident, no mention of her or disputes. She felt nothing reading it, her past buried with Marcus. "No regrets?" Beau asked. "None. Just one?" She looked at him. "What?" "Wish I found you sooner. Wish we had more time." "We've got all the time now." He squeezed her hand, her ring catching the light. "Sometimes I can't believe it's real, that we made it, that we're building this together." "It's real." She placed his hand on her belly. "This is real. We're real." As night fell, Sarah sat with her husband, content with a life chosen, built, defended. The woman who fled a blizzard was gone, replaced by someone stronger, at home with the man beside her and their growing family. Tomorrow meant work, but tonight was peace, love, and knowing they'd found belonging, a life worth living. Coyotes called in the hills, wild and alive. Sarah smiled, leaning into Beau, one hand on their child, the other in his. They were right where they belonged,